Are you truly doing whatever it takes to reach your goals? Now, I'm going to talk about bodybuilding, but this goes for anything in life. Are you truly doing whatever it takes? Now, whatever it takes, obviously everyone has a different version of what that entails. Now, as far as bodybuilding goes, whatever it takes, I would say, are you eating 8 to 10 meals a day? Are you? The answer probably to 90% of the people out there is no, I'm not eating that much. Okay? Are you training twice a day? Are you working out 3 to 4 hours a day? 90% of the people out there are going to say no, I'm not working out that much. Are you doing cardio? No, I don't have time to do cardio. 90% of the people will say, now, whatever it takes, when you look and you see the guys on the Olympia stage, it's very easy to say, oh, they're taking steroids. They're taking more drugs than me. That's why they're up on the Olympia. No, motherfucker, they're working harder. Give people credit where credit is due. They are working harder than you. They have been doing it longer than you. They are willing to do whatever it takes. Now, yes, they take steroids. Of course they do. But give credit where credit is due. These guys are training like maniacs. They're eating like maniacs. They're on the step mill for an hour a day, some of them 2 hours a day. Have you ever ridden the step mill? Get on that motherfucker and ride it for an hour straight, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It kicks your fucking ass. Eating 8 to 10 times a day is hard. And of course, we can always, oh, I don't have time to eat that much. You know, I work and this and that. Well, then you're not doing whatever it takes. And, you know, it's just, if you have a goal in mind and you want to achieve that goal, you have to be willing to do whatever it takes. And if you're not, you're never going to reach that goal. You're going to be the guy sitting on the couch saying, oh, they're taking steroids. That's why. They're taking more steroids than me. The only reason they're better than me is because they're taking more steroids. And that makes you feel better. You feel okay about yourself now because you're saying to yourself that you work just as hard as them. They're only better because they're taking drugs or they're taking more drugs. Guess what? Wrong. Wrong. They're working harder. Admit that shit. Admit that you're not willing to do whatever it takes. You're not willing to do that. You're not going to work out for 3 or 4 hours. You're not going to eat 8 to 10 meals a day. You're not going to get on the step mill, even in the off season, and fucking get on there and fucking go to work for an hour. Now, oh yeah, but the step mill, you know, when you do cardio in the off season, it burns. No, it doesn't burn muscle. That's an excuse so your lazy ass doesn't have to fucking do the step mill. You know what I'm saying? Man up. If you're not willing to do what it takes, at least be willing to fucking admit it. Drives me fucking crazy when people take credit away from people that are truly working their asses off. So, do whatever it takes. Reach your goals. Make your dreams come true in whatever it is in life. And you can always do more. And the biggest fucking fallacy of bodybuilding is this whole thing of you can do too much. If you work out too much, you're overtraining. If you eat, no, bullshit. That's for lazy fucking people to say that shit. Oh, I've been training an hour. I better not train any longer because I'm going to be overtraining and I'm going to fucking tear my muscles down. So you leave the gym. No, you fucking work out for 3 or 4 hours. The more you put into anything, the more you get out. And this is supposed to be motivational. I'm not talking shit to people out there. I'm motivating and I'm waking people up to understand that you need to do whatever it takes. If you're working on opening a business, you need to be working on that shit 16 hours a day. You want to make that shit successful? Then you need to be busting your ass, doing whatever it takes, putting everything into it. Otherwise, your business will fail. 80% of businesses fail. Why? Because people aren't willing to do whatever it takes. If you're willing to do whatever it takes, you will be successful. When it comes to bodybuilding, train 3 or 4 hours a day. Do the step mill a fucking hour in the off season. If you're eating fucking 8,000 or 9,000 calories, you're not going to burn any muscle. You're turning your body into a fucking machine. Your body is a fucking machine. You're digesting food faster. Your body's fucking growing faster. That's what it is, doing whatever it takes. So if don't fool yourself and think eating 3,000 calories a day, 5 meals a day, working out an hour a day means that you're a hardcore bodybuilder and you're doing whatever it takes to achieve your goals. When you get that fucking 5th place trophy or you don't make top 5, fucking face reality and realize you're not working hard enough to fucking get that 1st place trophy. A real quick story. The last national show I competed in, I was talking to the winner backstage. And Chris Aceto was doing his fucking diet and his training program, okay? And he said, Rich, I do the step mill an hour a day. I do 5 units of insulin before I get on the step mill on an empty stomach. And I do it for an hour, okay? I do that twice a day. You know what I said to him? I said, you know what? This was before prejudging. I said, you know what? I said, you deserve to win this show. Whether you win or lose, you deserve to win it because what you put into this fucking show is unbelievable. Because I wasn't doing fucking 2 hours of the fucking step mill a day and I wasn't fucking taking insulin before I did the step mill. That's fucking suicide. You could fucking die. You're dropping your blood sugar and doing fucking cardio? What the fuck? I was not willing to do whatever it takes when it gets to that degree in this sport. So I looked at him and I said, you know what? You deserve to fucking win. And that's when I made my exit the fuck out of bodybuilding because I realized I'm not willing to do this shit. It's fucking, I'm sorry, but that's too much. So I'm going to go into something like fucking opening a business, fucking buying things that I can put everything into. And you know what? I'm fucking damn happy I made that decision because I'm making lots of money and I'm successful and I'm fucking happy. Anyway, I hope this helps.
First thing I would do for years would be get up in the morning and follow some basic disciplines that just end up becoming a habit. And as a result of becoming a habit, you end up feeling like your day isn't complete without doing these things. In the beginning and over the years, I never spent a tremendous amount of time sorting out minutia details like, who cares, just get started. I used to be in here doing cardio with the oven on, my sweet potatoes cooking, all the burners on the stove on, place so hot, I think the devil was sitting over there talking to you. Like, do you really want to do this cardio? Sweat just pouring. The audience would never see that. They'll see you on stage the day of the competition, though, and see you, you know, receiving top honors, and then say, I want to do that. I want to be that guy. And that's why I think it's so important to show this like this, because when I grew up and I looked at the magazines and I saw this stuff, I saw the celebrated athletes of the day with the big contracts, and I saw that. I saw them in these nice kitchens, you know, able to cook each meal fresh, you know, in their more comfortable and relaxed, calm, kind of explain these things to the camera. And I grew up thinking that picture was the picture. And I always wanted that picture. But I recognize that now, being on the other side of that, wow, you know, this is the work, though, that will produce the desired end result. It's, you know, being able to climb in the trenches now when it's not convenient, it's not comfortable, when the kitchen isn't very beautiful yet. There's a certain amount of work that we really do have to take on ourselves and not expect for someone to do for you. The best coaches, the best supplement company like Muscle Meds, the best product you can ever have available to you will be of little resource to you if you're not able to do what work is required of you when it's time to do it. Real life, you know, in the trenches bodybuilding means that you have to be inventive. You have to be a problem solver. You have to be able to troubleshoot, you know, because at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to stay on on target with your goal. Your goals, your dreams are important to you. Your mother may love you, but she doesn't care whether or not your arms are 24 inches. She's still going to love you. Your dream of having your arms over 20 inches is your dream. So it's up to you to cultivate that, to protect it, to nurture it. So it's your responsibility to come up with ways to find out how you can eat every 2.5 hours without incident. You know, all the beginners, all the real, fledgling amateurs that have grand expectations of where they'd like to go in the sport, man, you gotta develop your tools. You gotta develop the use and awareness of your instrument. You gotta develop these skills. What I'm focusing on here, though, is the development of character, which speaks to your ability to follow through and start to string together days of efficient action on a very basic level. But if you are still working without the strength of character yet, without the ability to follow through, then all that complex conversation about those sciences will mean very, very little, will mean nothing to you. And it was these tools that allowed me to turn around and be ready when the next level of my help came, when the next mentorship that would come along and say, hey, look, wow, you've got some real talent. I want to invest in you. I want to put some time in helping you cultivate your stuff. They didn't come because you were just walking around aimlessly looking for someone to help you. There's work you got to do on your own, and you've got to be willing to bust your ass and get it done. Not have the excuses about, well, I can't because I don't know how to cook, or I can't because I'm not a nutritionist. I gotta wait till I can save up money to pay a nutritionist, and then I'll turn pro. No, you do the things that you can do to the best of your ability. But I'm just saying this, if you got big dreams and you want to do something really big, something that's going to demand your best and all of that stuff, and you're expecting to work with, some of the giant names in the bodybuilding industry. Hey, I got big dreams. I want to be Mr. Olympia one day. I want to compete in the Arnold Classic. You know what? I'll start and I'll just go get one of them big names like George Farah or Hanny Rombot, Chad Nichols. I'll get Dave Palumbo, one of those guys to help me. They'll do my diet, and life will be great after that. Charles Glass. They'll make me a champion. You got a sad thing coming. The idea of developing yourself and gaining mastery of these skills, your discipline, time management, those things are critical. Without those in place, even the great supplement company with the great powerful supplement will be of little support to you without some basic fundamentals that are required of you to already have possession of. And that's the truth. No one should have to stand over you all day, every day. Did you eat? What time's your next meal? Hey man, are you on top of your schedule? Are you staying true to your path? Because at the end of the day, it's just not that important to everybody else. And if it's more important to other people than it is you, then there's a large part of your better potential that will not be tapped.
Overtraining is a big thing, yeah. And if you see the process for muscle growth is you go in the gym and you put stress on the muscle. If you put stress that it's not used to, then it's going to react. You're going to get growth. But you need to recover from that first. You don't go to the gym and grow and then recover later. That's not the way it works. You go, if you give your body some stress it's not used to, you'll get a reaction. But before you get the reaction, you have to recover. So if you're not allowing enough time to recover, I use this analogy at seminars I do. It's very simplistic, but it gets the point across. If you get a bit of sandpaper and you rub it across the palm of your hand and it's kind of bloody, if you leave it and let it heal up, what's going to happen? The skin's going to develop back a little bit stronger, a little bit thicker than before because it wants to protect against that stress. So that's the process. But if you go and you make your hand bloody, and before it's healed up again, you go and rub it again, what's happening? You're not really getting anywhere. You're just going to have a bloody hand. Why are you going to the gym?
Right.
I'm going to the gym to get results, so I'm going to do whatever it takes to get results. And if it means training 30 minutes once a week, or it means training 10 hours a day every day, whatever it takes, I was willing to do it, and I would have done it. But training 10 hours a day is not going to build your muscles. You're just going to burn out. So I was doing average 45, 50-minute workouts probably 4 times a week. Everybody says, oh, that's it. Well, I write on a piece of paper, what the fuck is that? That's nothing, man. I'm like, okay, but come and do it. Come and do it and tell me if you want to do more when we're finished. Nobody has ever said, oh, please come and do some more. They're like, no, that's it. That's enough. Because every set, bar the warm-up sets, you got to warm up, and, you know, to be safe and everything. But the real sets, I call them, we're going to go to absolute failure and even beyond with force reps, with assistance reps, maybe extra negative reps, which is something that most people neglect when they lift weights. They think, you know, I've lifted it. All right, boom, let it go down. I've lifted it. But they're neglecting the lowering part of the weight, the negative. So I get people to really slow that down, so you're taxing that part as well. And even at the end of the set, on some exercises with machines where it's practical, so you know, you can't curl anymore physically on the positive, on the contraction, but your strength on the lowering is greater. So if you did curls and you failed, I could lift the weight to the top for you, and you could lower it down for probably another 3 reps. So if you'd just gone to failure here, you wouldn't have exhausted the negative part of the rep. So my thing is I exhaust everything. It's totally fucked. You can't lift, you can't lower it, you can't lift it. It's total failure. If you do that once on an exercise, then time to move on, do another exercise. And, you know, I didn't invent this system of training. As I said, people there before me, Arthur Jones, Mike Menser, I just took what they did and refined it a little bit more for a competitive bodybuilder, because Arthur Jones was a competitive bodybuilder. People he trained weren't. So his routines were even briefer than mine. But for a bodybuilder, you know, you got to work the side delt. You got to work different aspects. So I probably did a little bit more than they did. So I adapted it to myself and my needs. Physical characteristics that help you in your sport and so on. So you're all gifted up there. So what can separate the guy from first and second and third? It's all up there. That's the key. I think it's something I already had, and I kind of left home when I was 16, so I was out on my own on the street, and you know, you're either going to get smart and, you know, look after yourself, or you're going to fall down. There's nobody there to catch me. So that was there from an early age, I think, and I was just very determined to do this thing that I felt I could be good at in order to change my life and change, you know, the projection of my life, the people around me. I grew up on a housing estate in UK. I had no education. I was in a jail when I was 18. So I had all that. That was, you know, the people around me, I was like, I didn't want part of that future. I wanted to do something else. And I got this thing that I was good at, so I'm going to take it and run with it.
Nobody really talks about what's next, except Dorian does a little bit now. But it's hard retiring from something you're so active in and you love so much, and something my mind was into the Olympia for 10 years. For 10 years, and even before that, I don't even talk about the 25 years before that of getting ready to get to that point where you have 10 Olympias in your view, okay? But when you retire, it's like, what do I do now? Who am I? You know? We were talking about Joseph Wilcox. He had some issues retiring. Dorian had some issues retiring. Ronnie Coleman had some issues retiring. It's hard to retire, but you don't know what to do. You know, what am I going to do? And am I going to get a job like a regular person? I thought about that. In fact, I did. I decided that rather than going to Arnold and saying, look, I need a job, you know, I wanted to do it myself. I wanted to know what it was like to be the average working guy. Okay? So I went to a corporation, put my suit on, and I said, I'd like to get a job in your corporation here. What kind of experience do you have? Nothing. My resume is like, well, he spoke to presidents of different countries. He was a world-class competitor, and it doesn't really matter. What experience do you have in the corporate world? I said, very little. And I said, but I'm trainable. I said, show me. I can do this. I can do anything. The same attitude I had at the squat rack for all those years. I thought to myself, if it worked in the gym, why won't it work in business or the corporate life? And I got to tell you, it did. It worked really, really well, to where putting a suit on every day and putting my tie on was like my new gym. I was excited to get up at 5 in the morning and, okay, put my suspenders on. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the office, I'm going to be around all these young people, 20 and 30-year-olds. I'm going to kill them. I'm going to walk in circles around them, okay? And I did. It was like my new squat rack. My desk, my office was like my home. You know, I got promoted over the years, okay? But I enjoyed working for merchant services. I was a corporate recruiter. My job was to identify talent and give them a job. But I had to interview them, introduce them to other department heads, and find a place for them. I wasn't a headhunter. I was a corporate recruiter for a very, very large company, okay? And I loved it to death. I really did. But the same energy that I learned here in the gym, here in the squat rack, I took to the corporate workplace, and it works. It's no different. The only difference is in the corporate workplace, when you see red, you can't respond. When you see red, you got to wait till it goes to pink. I sort of got in trouble a few times going, you know, okay? You can't do that when you're, you can do it in the gym. I was paid a lot of money to respond like a crazy guy in the gym, and I did real well, but it didn't work in corporate life. So I had to learn how to adjust that side of my personality. But I enjoyed it immensely. So for about, I don't know, many years, for a good side of a decade or more, I played the corporate person. And I thought that bodybuilding was my past. It was my past. I was a young man back then, and I moved on in life, and you start, you know, assuming a different role. You know, I'm now in corporate world, and I talked to the CEO, and they didn't know my background. They did learn my background, and they go, "We know who you are. What are you doing here?" You know, and I said, "I want to learn. I want to learn everything about this corporate world. Show me." You know, and I love doing overtime, staying later. I wanted to learn. And the bosses, the CEO, would take me. I'm going to take you in my office. I'm going to show you how I talk to all these companies. I wanted to learn about it. I wanted to learn like I was a student all over again. Sometimes you're a teacher, and sometimes you're a student in life forever. Okay, so the same attitude I had when I was a teenager, and I hung out with Arnold, went to the beach with Arnold, and it was introduced to Frank Zane and Robbie Robinson and all these guys, and Lou Ferrigno, and I was a little kid learning. I took that same attitude into the corporate world, and it worked. I wasn't talented. I wasn't talented in bodybuilding. I didn't have any genetics. I wasn't talented in business. But the thing is, I was telling David about this earlier, I had this attitude that I can do it. There's nothing I can't do. If I can squat 400, 535, or how many, I don't know, 23, whatever it was, I can do anything. I believed that, and it worked, because I believed it. So I'm telling you, I never had any talent for bodybuilding. I never had any talent for business. I wish I did, and I emulated guys and watched guys that were really sharp. My CEO taught me a lot, but I had David and I, and Matthias, who's here tonight, he's filming. We did a video in LA for Team Andro. Went crazy viral, which opened the doors for my brand to work again. And pretty soon I'm getting offers to go and teach all around the world, and I'm telling my boss, "Look, I gotta leave for a month, okay, to go do some seminars." Like, what? You can't. Who leaves for a month? Their corporate position. But it started opening up to where I said, God, I could go back to bodybuilding as a teacher and do seminars all over again and get involved in other projects and really give back to the sport that's given me so much. Bodybuilding gave me a life. I'd be some homeless guy in Detroit if it wasn't for bodybuilding. It gave me a life. So right now, it's not about the money. I don't care about the money. It's not about gaining position as a bodybuilding player in the business. It's about just giving back to something that really gave me a lot, gave me a life. And that's the reason I'm here. That's the reason I've joined with Adam, and as far as working together. And our goal is to go around the world one more time before I actually settle down.
The greatest feeling you can get in a gym, or the most satisfying feeling you can get in a gym, is the pump. Let's say you train your biceps. Blood is rushing into your muscles, and that's what we call the pump. Your muscles get a really tight feeling, like your skin is going to explode any minute. You know, it's really tight. It's like somebody blowing air into your muscle. It just blows up, and it feels different. It feels fantastic. It's as satisfying to me as coming is, you know, as having sex with a woman and coming. So can you believe how much I am in heaven? I'm like getting the feeling of coming in the gym. I'm getting the feeling of coming at home. I'm getting the feeling of coming backstage when I pump up, when I pose out in front of 5,000 people. I get the same feeling. So I'm coming day and night. I mean, it's terrific, right? So, you know, I'm in heaven.
Attaboy.
You have to do everything possible to win, you know, no matter what.
That's it.
At the day of the contest, if he comes in his best shape and he's equally as good as I am, or if, let's say, he's a few % better as I am, I spend with him one night. I go downstairs and book us together in a room, you know, to help him for tomorrow's contest. And that night, he will never forget. I will mix him up. He will come so ready to South Africa, so strong. But by the time the night is over, the next morning, he will be ready to lose. I mean, I will just talk him into that. That's no problem to do, you know. And so all those things, you know, are available. And so if they're available, you might as well use them. So that's why it doesn't matter if he comes in shape or out of shape. If he comes out of shape, at least has less hassle from me, you know. And if he's in shape, fine. I hope he is.
But you couldn't pull this with Franco, could you? Franco's pretty smart.
Franco is pretty smart, but Franco is a child. And when it comes to the day of the contest, I'm his father. He comes to me for advices. So it's not that hard for me to give him the wrong advices.
I think it was around 8 years ago when some fellow came to me into the gym and said, I want to win Mr. Munich, you know, and I am a perfect poser, and I have a fantastic body, and I just want to learn a new posing routine, a new style, you know, something way out which nobody expects. So I said, well, let me see your posing routine you have right now. Well, when the guy took his clothes off and posed for me, he looked like nothing, number one, and his posing was bad. So, I mean, he was just, I think he was crazy, you know. So I thought, well, okay, if he thinks that he's the best poser, I'm gonna pull a little trick on him. And so that's what I did. I told him, I said, listen, I have a new posing routine from America. I said, I'm in correspondence with all the top athletes in America and so on. And I told him that the new thing is that he has to scream while he's posing. And he looked at me and he says, wow, that's a new idea. He says, you know, they will really come out impressive when you go out on stage and you scream. People can't miss you. They all look at you, you know, he's screaming and that's it. So I taught him how to scream, you know. And first of all, I oiled him obviously up, his body, you know, with really heavy oil and everything. So I was standing there in the shower room and I taught him how to do it, you know. I mean, the higher your arms go up, the higher you make a screaming noise, and the lower your arms come down while you're posing, you know, the lower the noise, you know, like, ah, oh, you know, this kind of a thing. Well, I practiced with him for around 2 hours, spent a lot of time on developing his new posing routine, and he mastered it very well. He was screaming really loud on the end and, you know, the high and low, and he went to the Mr. Munich contest. And I told him when he walks out, he has to scream loud too, you know, run out, ah! And so he did. And obviously people weren't ready for that at all, you know, so he went out there, he screamed loud, went through 3 or 4 poses with some loud screaming, and they carried him off the stage and threw him out. And so the guy was totally nuts.